it has been a couple of days since I've done a video. This sounds so weird. I feel like I'm not hearing myself properly in the headphones right now. I don't know. It's been like 4 days since I've recorded a video. I just finished moving my stuff back into my apartment, the stuff that I took to my house for the weekend. Okay, I found out why the volume knob was down. I couldn't hear it in the headphones properly, but yeah, I just moved my stuff back. I was away at my house for a bit. Took a couple things like my computer stuff with me, but like one of my computers, but not. It was a bad setup there, very scuffed. I couldn't record an extra video to go up yesterday, so it is what it is. Crazy story time in this video. I'm definitely like kind of still decompressing from moving all this stuff in the heat for like the last 3 hours. It's a much more tedious process than you would think it is, but I just went to McDonald's. I got 4 double cheeseburgers because I'm a fat fuck, fat idiot, fat head, and we're kind of just gonna get right into what's been going on, or not what's been going on. It was like a 1 day thing. I personally think this story's kind of fucking crazy, but it's not that. You'll be the judge. It's not that insane, I guess. It's crazy for my boring life. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna get this stuff out, and we're gonna go. Alright, I didn't really put a lot of effort into that thumbnail. I'm kind of beyond it at the moment. I need to get into one of these real quick. Look at that. I didn't even get extra cheese on these. Just 4 plain double cheeseburgers. Sorry. Let me calm down. Calm down. Just had the first OBS crash since I updated the OBS last time. It crashed, so that's cool. It's been like weeks, but whatever. I have not eaten a whole lot this weekend. My house lost power like the week before I went there, and so we had to throw a bunch of stuff out, or my parents did, and because they were going out of town, they had not gone to the store or anything, so there was not a lot of food at the house when I went there. My mom did make me my favorite Chex Mix, a massive batch of it. That was like all I ate for like the first 48 hours that I was there. And I was cool with that. That was fine. But I got there on Thursday afternoon, and I ate only the Chex until yesterday, which was Saturday evening. And then yesterday I caved and I ordered some pizza. I got Jet's Pizza. I got a 4-corner deep dish, and then a big thing of extra cheesy cheese bread that I love, and it was so good. Alright, there was another crash. Thank God I remembered to start recording. I almost just started talking without recording. 3rd crash. 3 times. Not what I wanted to do with right now. Weeks I went without it being an issue, and here we are again. So I don't understand. But there's no update to do. There's no I don't know. As if I wasn't already behind enough today, but yeah, I did not have a lot of real food to eat. So this is nice. I'm gonna eat 1 more, and then we'll get into the real story. I don't want to. Now I'm waiting to see if I can make this stop crashing, and then I'll talk, because I don't want to start telling the story if it keeps crashing. It's a decent batch of burgers, but I could tell when I took one of them out of their wrapper. I could tell buns have been out for a little bit, I think. Alright, let me get this story out of my system. So I go to my house. I unload all my stuff on Thursday, right? This is at like, I don't know, it took me 2 or 3 hours to do this as well, to take my things that I wanted to take from here, to take them to my house, and then get them out into my house and set them up and whatnot. And I was pretty tired and exhausted from all the heat and the heavy moving stuff, right? But I brought all this stuff inside. I didn't set it up yet, but I realized that that there was no Diet Coke in the house. So I wanted to go get some Diet Coke, right? Because I didn't bring my own, really. And the grocery store that's right next to my house that I used to get Diet Coke at had closed a couple years ago and rebranded to something else. So I've never been there, so I wasn't gonna go, So I called my grandma and I asked her if maybe she wanted to go to the store, maybe she needed some stuff or not. I didn't really know, because I didn't want to go to Target or Walmart because those are a bit further away from my house, and the last thing I wanted to do was go drive somewhere and do a big thing. But I figured if she wanted to go, it would be worth doing, but she wasn't feeling up to it. So I asked her, where should I go to get some quick and easy stuff? She tells me I should go to the CVS, and that's exactly what I was thinking, and I went and I got her a thing or two from the CVS as well that she was looking for. So I go to the CVS. It is so nice out and so hot and sunny, right? I go into that CVS for like 5 minutes and I leave my sunroof open in my car, and like one cloud goes above my car and starts sprinkling rain inside of my car while I'm in the CVS for 5 minutes. Like, of course, right? But, so the CVS is like on a different side, like coming from the CVS to my grandma's house is coming from a different direction than coming from my house to my grandma's house. So I'm coming back from the CVS to my grandma's house, and I'm on this street, and I'm on this side of the street that I'm never on. I'm on this part of the road that I'm never on, and I see out of the corner of my eye, coming down a driveway to my left, there are 2 naked children, probably age like 5 and 3 maybe, and the boy, the older one, he points at my car, and they're not down the driveway, but they're like out in their front yard in their driveway. And he points at my car, and I'm like, I said like out loud, like, what the fuck? Because I was like so confused as to what the fuck just happened. And I like kept going, of course. I was only a couple houses away from my grandma's. As I'm like getting closer to her house, I'm looking in the rear view mirror, or in my side mirror, to see if those kids, hopefully they fucked off. They didn't come down the driveway or anything, but they did. I saw they were down toward the end of the driveway. I saw them in the mirror. So I pulled into my grandma's driveway, and I hopped out the car and I ran down her driveway. I didn't even go say anything to her yet. I ran down her driveway to see if those kids, hopefully they weren't out playing in the street. And I ran out the driveway. I took a few steps in that direction toward their house. I think it was 5 or 6 houses down. So pretty far when you think about it. And I saw that they were indeed playing in the street, or these 2 kids were walking in the street, completely naked, completely unattended, right? So obviously that's like really bad. So I'm like moving closer down the street, and I'm realizing that like, okay, I don't, like, this is like a 2 or 3 minutes ongoing thing now, and no parent has come out to grab them. They see that I'm coming down the street, and they run up into their yard, and they're like hiding behind a big tree in their yard. They're kind of playing some peekaboo, like it's a bit of a game, you know what I mean? They're playing a little bit of a game. They're not like scared or anything. They're not, strange, they're like dicking around like it's all fun and games, right? And I'm like pulling my phone out. I'm about to like call the police department. I wasn't gonna call 911 because I didn't think it was emergency. I don't want to make an emergency person, you know what I mean? I just didn't want to overreact. So I tried to call the police department, and I got a robot, so I said fuck that, and I called 911 for like the first time in my life. And I've never had to do that, right? And I've always had like a recurring dream about having to do it. and like always like stumbling over my words or something like that and not knowing how to communicate properly. And so I was like, oh, moment of truth, let's do this. And it's exactly what happened. Is I'm like stumbling over my words and whatever, and I'm very like, because I'm like also trying to pay attention to these kids and make sure that there's not something bad happening, or that an adult is not gonna come out and be like, hostile in some way. And so I tell the lady I tell the dispatcher, and I tell her, I've got 2 kids out here that are completely naked, walking in the street, out in the yard, completely unattended, very young kids. Very clearly there's a problem here. And as I'm on the phone with her, a 3rd naked child appears from the driveway or whatever, and I'm like, oh my god, there's a 3rd one and whatever. And I told her, I'm on this street, I didn't get close to the house. I stayed like a half a house over, and I stayed in the road. I wasn't coming onto anyone's property. I wasn't trying to, risk anything. I kept my distance, so I couldn't see the number on the house for the address. And she was asking like what the specific address was, and I'm like, I don't know, I can't see it. And I told her, I'm just gonna read off of this mailbox right here. This is not the specific house, I don't believe, but I'm just gonna read you a number off the mailbox so you know what part of the street I'm on. And I read that number off. And the kids had like kind of split up and like run away. At that point, they like 2 of them ran around the one side of the house, 1 ran around the other side. And again, these kids, the oldest one was 5, the other 2 might have definitely been like 3 at most. Like, and that might be like kind of overdoing it, but they were able to walk and run on their own and competently know what, competently be playing outside together like this. So, I'm standing in the street still on the phone with this dispatcher, and she's telling me, we're kind of busy right now. We'll send someone when we can. And I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, this is just my opinion. This was at like 6:45 on a Thursday evening. I live in a pretty nice place. It's a pretty nice city. There ain't shit going on, man. Like, I know for a fact that is a load of shit. Now listen, I understand, like, if what I'm conveying to her on the phone sounds like, okay, some parent just fell asleep and some kids are running around, and that's not a big deal to them. I mean, I'm not gonna act like I get it, because I don't, because it could get much worse than that, I'm not trying to, like, overdo it, but this very well could have been, like, some sort of situation related to abuse or something, you know what I mean? You never know. You just don't know. And I mean, again, their kids were out in the street. When I was walking down to the house at the very beginning, I told myself, okay, if the parent comes out and scoops them up real quick, I probably won't call anybody. If they were like just in the yard still, if they like just slipped out for a second, but they didn't. They were out in the street. This was like a whole thing. Like, this was some pretty irresponsible parenting, right? So what happened? I had been on the phone with the dispatcher for about 10 minutes, and that's not including the 2 or 3 minutes prior to the phone call that I saw these kids out there. So this is about 13 minutes ongoing, give or take, of these kids being outside unattended. Completely naked, by the way. Like, and they had like gone around to the back of their house, gone inside of their house, and then 2 of them peeked their heads out the front door again. One of them came out onto the porch while the other was like holding the door open and sticking his head out, you know what I mean? So this is obviously like a commotion that is going on that a parent inside is not aware of and is not paying attention to. These are not big houses, by the way. These are like 1 stories with a basement in this area. And I'm on the phone. I'm still standing out front on the phone with her, on the dispatcher, and I'm telling her like what I'm seeing. Like, okay, now they're peeking out. Okay, now they went inside. Now this, now that. And she basically told me that, I'm good to go back to my grandma's house down the street and chill there. And if they need me, they'll come find me. And so I start walking away, and the kids come out again. And then I'm standing like 3 houses away at this point because I don't really know where to go, but they're out in the yard again, and I'm like, okay, well, if I go back to my grandma's house, they might go back out into the street or something, and I'm not going to just let that happen necessarily. So I kept my distance, and I called my grandma from the street, and I told her what was happening, and yada yada. And I can see the kids are still outside playing. They're still out there doing what they're doing. I think they had run onto somebody else's property or something as well, and then by the time that I couldn't see them anymore, I just went back to my grandma's house and waited, and I was assuming they would show up, the cops would show up or something, but they did not. Well, for a bit. I stayed with her for about 45 minutes just hanging out, eating some chips and stuff. And then as soon as I decided to leave, so I decided I was going to leave because I didn't see them coming. I didn't see any cops, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go drive down there real quick, see if I notice anything. And if the kids are still out there, I'm going to call again. And as soon as I had pulled down the street, the first cop had arrived, and so I stuck my head out the window or whatever. I was like, hey, I was the one that called and whatever. And he's like, was it this house over here? And I'm like, no, it was this house. And he's like, well, this is the house that I got the call for. And I was like, okay, well, that's the house of the number that I gave to the dispatcher that I specifically said was not the house. So the details clearly were not relayed. Before I had hung up with the dispatcher as well, I had told her specific details about the house. The cars in the driveway, the trailer in the driveway, the trash cans, the signs out front, yada yada. And it seems like all she gave this cop was just straight up the number of the house that I specifically told her was not the number of the house. So thank God I got there when I did. And so the cop's there, I told him everything, and yada yada yada. And he, took my information and said, like, I'm good to go and whatever. And, the kids were not outside anymore. I did notice that there was another car in the driveway that was not there when I had been there prior. And I thought I had seen it down the street when I was looking for my grandma's house. It was hard to see because how far down the street it was, but I did see it pull in. So I guess I would have to assume it was just a simple case of one parent fell asleep while the other parent was gone at work or something. And the kids got naked and got out of the house for like 20 minutes plus, which is obviously like really bad. And obviously it's a bit of a straightforward thing. If that is all it is still bad, but it's just an incident. It's not maybe not necessarily an abuse situation. But, I mean, what the fuck am I watch a lot of the, like the child predator catches and stuff like that. You hear and see such awful things about what these people have done to their kids in the past and whatever. And that kind of just seemed like that. I mean, look, I was not going to roll the dice there, you know what I mean? Obviously, I mean, nobody would. Why would you? I mean, they were walking in the fucking street. And another thing, me, the stranger, is approaching them. I'm approaching their house, and they're not like running and screaming for help. They're hiding behind a tree. Like, I don't mean like hiding. I mean, they're like, you know what I mean? Like, they were playing a game with me, and I kept screaming at them, get the fuck inside. I wasn't swearing at them, but I said, get inside, get inside. And they didn't want to get inside, so. And, this whole thing took like around an hour when I was just about to like go drop off a quick snack at my grandma's and leave, and it took like an extra hour of and it was pretty stressful too. I get like all anxiety-ish and whatever about having to get cops involved with stuff and whatever. And they said they would reach out, and that was 3 days ago. They would reach out if they needed me, and they haven't reached out. I haven't gotten an update, not that I really thought that I would, but I'm assuming they kind of just brushed it off. And so I drove away, right? And my grandma called me and said that she saw that they were there, and then I talked to them and whatever. And like 2 minutes after I had left, while I was on the phone with my grandma, she said that they were like leaving, that they looked like they were leaving, and I was just So I think they kind of just left and didn't really care, because the kids weren't outside anymore, and if they just chalked it up to I mean, I don't know though. She couldn't see if they would have gone up to the house or not. Maybe tomorrow we'll get some information, because tomorrow's Monday. There'll be more police department people there, and if they needed to talk to me for evidence or something, I don't know. But so that had happened, and then I go home and I start setting up my setup, and it takes me like 2 hours to get it right, because I was trying to set up in a way that I could do certain things, X, Y, and Z, try to record a video, try to stream, all these different things, and it just wasn't working. I was doing a very dumb job at organizing this cord on this part of the table, or this monitor here and there, and I took forever to do it. And that's aside from like taking care of my dog, doing the house chores that needed to be done for my parents and stuff, and like 10 minutes, 15 minutes after I had finally sat down to chill and had finally finished the entire setup and everything, the fucking power goes out for like 2.5 hours, so I couldn't even like enjoy myself really. I was really, really upset. I was pretty pressed about that, I don't know. It just kind of felt like a one thing after another kind of weird kind of day. But that was my Thursday. That was a 15-minute story. Wow. Yeah, that was really weird. I had tried to find another neighbor. There was this one guy that was outside. I was trying to ask him if he knew who they were, but he clearly did not understand what I meant by I was trying to talk to him. He was in his backyard power washing, and he did not read the symbols. He thought I was waving at him or something. I was trying to get his attention to come here, and he just wasn't fucking having it. So I guess I just ignored him, or he ignored me. Don't know wall. So you can only just hope that the kids are okay, right? I mean, obviously, I do think the likelihood is that they are fine, but obviously I was never gonna sit there and take that chance, right? I'm assuming it was just a really retarded parent that really, really fucked up, bad. I'm just thinking, dude, the wrong person comes by in their car, bro, and suddenly your kids are gone. It really is just that simple, in my opinion. So, I don't know. Those kids were not really scared of any of what was going on. They were fascinated by seeing cars go by. They were just, So, I don't know. I guess we will see if something happens. These burgers are going to be so cold now. God damn it. Yeah, this does not feel very fresh. But that's okay. Not fresh at all. I was thinking about getting quarter pounders instead again, because I just did the other day and they were so good. And every time I think about it, despite how good they are, whenever I think about the double cheeseburgers, all I can see in front of me is how cheap they are. And it just feels like such a better deal. And yeah, I just went with that instead. Because I spent $11 on these 4 burgers and a drink, where if I got 3 quarter pounders and a drink, it would have been almost $20, so it's, Also, I had texted my friends when this whole thing was happening, and I told them what was going on. And I have a friend who I was talking to who is a state cop, and he told me that he's not surprised at all that the police kind of brushed it off as not much of an emergency, and that sometimes the state police will ask my area to assist them with things, and they'll just be no. 90% of the time. The cop that was there could not have seemed any more disinterested in figuring out what's going on. It felt like I wasn't feeling a lot of urgency. I wasn't feeling a lot of. I don't think anyone gave a fuck. I don't know. If their best judgment was that it was not a big deal because they think, okay, some kids got out of the house, but as long as they got back in, it doesn't matter. I guess I get it. It's less paperwork for you to do if you don't have to go talk to a dad and yell at it and scold a parent or whatever. That's what makes it easy and go crazy. But I don't know. I just was not seeing. I did not feel the urgency from the police, I guess. I don't know. 40 minutes. 3 naked children are running around unattended outside. 40 minutes. I mean, it seems kind of important to me. You know what I mean? You know, that seems like it kind of is an emergency. Like, dude. Like, what are we talking about here? This thing feels like a rock. That's weird. It feels very, very weird. I must have been quite hungry there. Yeah, my hair is so fucked up today too. It just doesn't feel. The edges are a little bit too stiff. I don't think this would have been very good. Anyway, it's 4:30 now. I want to try to get this video up at a reasonable time today. Like in the next 90 minutes or so, I gotta go. Gotta go take this all the way up into the other. I gotta put it on a hard drive to the other computer, yada yada yada. Hopefully the editing goes okay with those corrupted files from the crashes and whatnot. Alright, good little story time, good little burger slamming there. I don't got much else to say. I'm pretty worn out from the heat. It's been pretty rough, but thank God the AC here is superb, perfecto, amazing. Alright, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed that very strange, bizarre story.